Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Cherie. Today is March 26th. It's approximately 7:30 Central Standard Time. No, we're not. Are we standard?
It's not standard.
Yeah,
it's daylight time.
Daylight whatever.
Time. Yes. It's nomadic standard time, always where we are. So it's 7:30 nomadic standard time. And we are Technomadia. Hopefully you've been following us along in some fashion or another, or you've just stumbled across us on YouTube. Some people seem to do that. Oh, welcome. Thank you for joining us live. If you're here live, if the dates and times line up, we like having a live audience.
Yes, we love the interactivity of the live audience, and we also love that these are now showing up as archives on YouTube, and people are subscribing to them there too. So it's really cool to be able to produce one thing. What we do is we pick topics here that we'd like to cover, that we get lots of questions on, but just don't have time to write about. So that's what these are all about. It's a way for us to share. We talk about 20 minutes about a topic, and then we take your questions and answers. And these have just turned out to be a fun way over the years for us to cover some topics that we just don't necessarily have time always on the blog to cover.
Right. And just the Q&A makes it much more interactive on those topics as well, because we can't always guess your questions in advance. So we're happy to share our 9 years of experience on the road and dump our brains onto you. Hopefully you don't mind.
So if this is your first time joining in, the way we do these is we're going to talk for about 20 minutes about the topic. We're not even going to be paying attention to any questions that you might be throwing out there. We're not even looking at them at this point. So if you'll save up any questions that you have, over to the right-hand side of where the screen is, if you're on the browser, there's where it says chat with right now 102 people. You just click in there and you can type in questions. We'll prompt you when we get when we're ready to start taking questions. That way it makes it easier for us to follow them. Yep. Otherwise, please hold your questions for now.
Yeah, I was going to ask the question is how's our sound and video, but I've already seen somebody chiming in on the chat that it's good, so we won't be checking the chat until later on for the questions. Now that we know you can hear us.
Awesome.
Perfect.
I love that we have experienced videos. Who knows? We always ask that questions proactive. All right. So tonight's topic is RV clubs and which ones to join. There are a lot of clubs out there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. When a lot of people, we get this question all the time is, I just bought my RV, I'm hitting the road, whether you're going for vacation, seasonal or full-time, which clubs do I need to join? Do I need all of these? I mean, what do they offer me? Do I need to join them all right now? It's a lot of clubs. There's a lot of money right there in those cards. So they all cost money, and they all have different benefits and features. And so what we're going to do is...
They're all right for somebody and wrong for others. So we'll help steer you.
So we're going to overview each of them, all the major ones. And the way we kind of broke this down is it has to have a card that gets you access to benefits, is kind of how we're defining an RV club. Reasons you might join a club. Because you want to be cool?
Benefits? Well, actually, so there's the social reasons to connect with other RVers. There are the discounts and benefits.
It's the access also to knowledge and information. Each of these clubs, some of them offer forums that you can participate in. They might offer magazines or magazine content.
And then actually one of the great reasons to join a club is also just to support that particular club. Even if you're not getting much out of it directly, if the club has a mission or is up to something you believe in, well, that's a great way to lend your support to that as well.
Right. So we've broken this down into 3 basic categories. The first one being what we're calling support network clubs, and then we'll be talking about campground and RV parking access, and then emergency roadside service. So we're going to be breaking it down to that. If you scroll down, if you're on the browser to the bottom, I've posted a text box that has links to all of the clubs that we're talking about with links to their websites. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll probably have a page up that also accesses to that, and I'll pop up a little URL right there that shows where it's at. So support network clubs. These are organizations that offer a whole bunch of benefits ranging from magazines, forums, advocacy, rallies.
Yeah, just basically they're the most club-like of the clubs in a sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And the 3 that we're going to focus on, let me see, I'll get my club cards here.
We've tried them all
we have members of them all. So I'm going to be focusing on FMCA, the Xscapers, and Good Sam Club. Those are the kind of the top 3 that you hear about
in the U.S.,
especially for full-time and seasonal RVers. So we'll start with the FMCA.
FMCA, that stands for Family Motor Coach Association, and right there in the name is the biggest catch with the FMCA.
Right. So they're only about motor coaches. So you have to own a motor coach, which they define, and I just checked this on their website yesterday. You have to have a Class A, a Class B, a Class C, or a bus conversion.
So
which is goodness because their logo is a bus conversion.
Yeah.
So
even vans don't qualify, right?
I don't know how they feel about vans.
Class B is vanish, so yeah, I wonder.
Bs are vans.
But like, do box vans and stuff like that? But basically, if you've got a motor and it's a coach
in your home,
yes.
then it qualifies. So trailers and fifth wheels don't qualify to be members, but we have seen them at the rallies that they host.
Yeah.
So
once you're a member, I think you could stay a member. But they've kind of have this kind of history of focusing on the motor coaches, and as the industry's changed, they've had a hard time opening themselves up to a broader audience.
Went over there.
Oh, here's
yes,
your notes.
I think so. So the FMCA, they cost $40 a year to join, and there's a $10 enrollment fee the first year. Their website is fmca.com. Some of the benefits that they offer, they have the FMCA Assist program, which gives you emergency medical evacuation. So if you have a major medical incident that happens and you need to get back to your home base, this program will get you back there. They will also help you get your motor coach and your pets back to your home base. And they'll pay to have someone in your family or someone you trust to come and join you and rendezvous with you at where you're having your medical treatments at, to be there with you. So it's kind of a cool program, and that is included with the membership. They do have a discount. A lot of people join for the discounts.
A lot of people join FMCA just for their Michelin tire partnership. Apparently, through FMCA, you can get a ridiculously good deal on Michelin tires, better than you can get anywhere else, and that pays.
They do not guarantee that's better.
But we know a lot of people who join FMCA just because it's time is rolled around and they're going to buy particularly if they've got a big Class A with 8 tires on it. That is the savings on a single tire pays for their membership for a year.
So a lot of people join just for that and access to where to go get those installed. They also have discounts with other things, like if you need a mail forwarding service, they've partnered up with Dakota Post, which is in South Dakota, for mail forwarding services. They have discount programs with UPS, Office Depot, and Passport America, and some of the other clubs that we'll be talking about. So if you join them, you get access to discounts with the other clubs. They do have a magazine that comes out every month.
And then the FMCA hosts a whole lot of rallies. They have, I think, 2 big national rallies each year.
And we've been to one of them.
Mm-hmm.
They also have a bunch of sub-chapters and groups. So there might be regional chapters, like we belong to one that's just for converted buses, or
GMs
when we were members.
We let our membership lapse. But yeah, actually that is one of the reasons a lot of people also join the FMCA, is because they provide the structure and the liability insurance for all their sub-chapters, all their subgroups to host events. And, having insurance for an event is a very important thing for people. So there's a lot of groups that are part of the FMCA just to have that bureaucratic structure behind them to support them.
So as long as they follow the bylaws and they have their business meetings, then they get covered by the FMC's insurance. So that's a big reason. That's why we don't have Technomadia rallies, is because we're not a business. We can't have we don't want to go buy insurance to host them.
Yep.
So the FMCA allows groups to form under it and then get access to those sorts of benefits. So the FMCA is a pretty cool organization.
They've got a long history.
They have a very long history. They are motor coach specific. We have been to their rallies. They do tend to be, what we don't like about them is they're focused around motor coaches, not necessarily around the RVing lifestyle.
And yeah, there's not a lot of necessarily focus on the full-time people who really are drawn to the lifestyle. A lot of people bring out their motor coach only to go to FMCA rallies,
which is cool. I mean, that's cool. That's not our thing. So we generally only join when we're going to one of the big rallies and we have to have the membership to go. Generally though, our membership just lapsed because we went to one a year ago. And they are a little more commercial focused than I like. Their rallies were more about the vendors and they weren't necessarily about the education.
Right.
So, but that was our impression. That might not be yours.
Right.
Next one is the Xscapers. The card, the Xscapers.com. They have been around since 1978. They were founded by a full-time RVing couple that were in their 40s and raising kids. It was originally a support network for RVers, and a lot of the membership was younger folks on the road. And
it was their kind of more focus had been on the RV lifestyle and helping people who are aspiring to full-time or full-time. Was a lot of that original impetus whether they're full-time or part-time, is people who are living on the road and really going for the RV lifestyle.
Right. And it might be, and so the founders, Kay and Joe Peterson, they didn't start out with a vision at all with it. It just kind of morphed into what it has been over the last 40 plus years. And they now have a network of parks that they own, that they run and operate. So they're parks, some you can buy a co-op membership in, some or you can just get discounts in. They've partnered with a lot of parks. You get discounts from 15 to 50% at a bunch of parks across the country. Actually, I've got their travel guide. Yeah, convenient travel guide. They've got a travel guide that's got listings of parks across the country that honor the discounts with the escapees, which is really cool. They have a great magazine that comes out. I think it's every 2 months, I believe.
Like 8 times a year, I think.
Yep, they have some forums online which are open to non-members as well, so you can join that at rvnetwork.com. They also do a lot of advocacy, so they team up with some of these other organizations. So when issues come up, like I saw one come across this morning, Texas is proposing raising vehicle registration fees that might actually double the cost for motorhomes. So
that's big news.
Yeah, it's big news. So they're activating their membership to write into their representatives to try to get this law from not passing.
They did a whole lot years ago to make sure that RVers could still vote in elections, even as absentee ballots and stuff. So
with having a personal mailbox.
Having a mailbox, not having a physical address. So they actually did picketing and went to the I think it was all mostly in Texas that they had to focus it on, but they fought for RVers' legal rights, which was really great.
They also have a great mail forwarding service that a lot of people do, and if you need a domicile as a full-time RVer, you don't own property, you don't own a house, but you still need to have a legal domicile for your driver's license and voting and taxes and all that sort of stuff. They provide that as well. Now they offer it in Texas, South Dakota, and Florida. They also just launched a new organization. It'll be official on April 1 called Xscapers.
Club within a club. So this is basically a new door into the escapees. Xscapers is focusing on the new generation of RVers. So, us.
It's basically getting it back to the original roots of what it was. And so, the membership is aged with the organization. People who joined 40 years ago are now 40 years older. And so they're trying to bring it back to reaching out to a lot of us younger working on the road RVers. And we've been involved with helping them, coach them through launching that. We were just at the Escapade and helping them do that.
We joined the Escapees just over a year, well, actually under a year ago. Went to our first rally. We weren't expecting it to be all that much different from the FMCA rally, but it actually really struck us as hugely different. Just because everybody there, whether they were in a tiny little pop-up camper or a little casita or a $1 million Class A, they were all really drawn to the RV lifestyle, and there was no distinction made of like how big and expensive and new was your rig. It was like, hey, you're living on the road, or you're doing this and you're sharing this, and let's have happy hour. And they've got happy hour down to an art, it seems.
I came away from the Escapade feeling more part of a community than I did at the other rallies that we've been to over the years. More of a cohesion and just being with like minds. Now the Escapees to join is $29.95 per year. There's a $10 enrollment fee up front. That has been their special since last summer, and they just announced at the Escapade that they're keeping that for the foreseeable future. So it's under $30 a year. It's a great organization to join, just to even have your voice heard. The more voices they have, the more they can impact change in the industry.
And then they also have a lot of other subgroups. Theirs are called the Birds of a Feathers. In addition to the Xscapers, which is kind of like a whole new club within a club, they've got lots of Birds of a Feather groups with different interests, and some of them have gatherings. The one that actually initially most drew us to the Escapees is one called the Doves. They are the official partner of the Red Cross, and if you're volunteering with the Doves and have been trained with the Doves, you can actually get deployed to disasters in your RV by the Red Cross, and then the Red Cross.
But they have a lot of special interest groups, from ham radio operators to the Christian Boff to nudists to free thinkers. They have a whole bunch of different things. So whatever photography and things like that. So a lot of special interest groups within the group. The other one that we're going to cover is the Good Sam Club.
I used to call them the Good Spam Club, because when I first joined, oh my God, the amount of postal mail they would send.
Oh my gosh. So they're $25 per year, and they are now owned by Camping World, or Good Sam owns Camping World. I'm not quite sure.
One in the same organization.
So they didn't used to be, but now they are the same.
They are the largest club by far.
Yes,
just because the power of that membership.
And they kind of reach out broadly to RVers of all shapes, sizes, and forms. So vacationers to full-timers to seasonals to from little casita campers to big Class A motorhomes. They're, it's RVers of all kinds. So they have the widest sweep, I think, in lifestyle. So they have a larger membership.
But people very rarely seem to identify as their Good Sam members. It's a large part of their membership is it's a discount card that they have in their pocket. They don't really feel a close affinity to the club.
Right. So Good Sam, a lot of commercial RV parks are Good Sam members, and you get a 10% discount at their parks for nightly rates. They have, of course, you get discounts at Camping World now that they're owned by the same organization. They do have chapters as well, special interest groups. I don't really hear as much about them as I do with FMCA and Xscapers as being that prevalent, but they are there. They do host huge rallies. There was a huge one just north of Phoenix recently. I think they
didn't do one last year though. They took an entire year off, but they basically do one big national rally a year. It's been their plan.
So they can bring in 6,000 rigs into a rally, whereas the other like Xscapers, I think we had 700 or 800 at the last one.
50 something.
I don't know how many FMC had. I think we had like 2,000. So Good Sam, because of their broadness of interest, they do bring in some really large numbers to their rallies. A lot of vendors go to them, a lot of entertainment and things like that. So, they have at $25 a year. It might be worth joining for you, especially if you do shop at Camping World. Again, this is a membership that we've let lapse. One thing I like about their card, I don't know if they've changed it or not, there's no expiration date on it. So if we get to a campground that accepts Good Sam discounts, I do keep the card around. And I will renew it if we ever do actually use it. We don't actually stay in RV parks all that often.
Right.
So that's a summation of what I call the support network groups.
Right. And there are also kind of another tier of support network groups that are coach specific or trailer specific. So like there's a big active Airstream clubs, and then a lot of different RV brands have their own clubs. Some of them have some similar benefits and even discounts and cards. If you've got a particular rig that is popular, particularly if you're an Airstreamer, go find those special clubs. But otherwise, we're going to move on.
All right. Next category that we're going to talk about is RV parking and campground networks. So these are ones that are the primary benefit of joining them is to get access to a network of parks, sometimes at a discount. Probably one of the most popular ones is Passport America.
We've gotten our money's worth out of Passport America.
This one is $44 a year to join. I think you can join for $39 a year if you don't want the physical book, if you're good just using the website and the app. And basically it gives you access to 1,900 parks in their system, and they're all partner parks, they're owned by Passport America. That gives 50% discounts off nightly campground fees, which means that you can stay at some parks sometimes for $12 to $20 a night
with full hookups.
And there's some restrictions, like they might only allow it like Sundays through Thursdays or only during their off seasons.
But a lot of times there are no restrictions. It depends on the park and the place too.
Sometimes the parks might say we allow it for 3 days, but we've been to some parks and hey, we'll extend it for as long as you want. They're really flexible by the parks themselves. Some of them stick to the restrictions, some don't. The quality of parks can range widely. It might be an underused park that is kind of run down. It might be a really great park that's just looking to fill spots that are empty.
And where for us personally, the great use for Passport America is if we just need a place to stop for the night. Usually we only stay for one night, maybe two, and we want to dump the tanks, do laundry, handle all our basic, chores, flush everything, fill everything. Paying $15 for that is a steal. I mean, that's what you pay just for a dump station in some places. So we're getting a dump station that has a laundry room and perhaps a swimming pool and perhaps other amenities, and we get to stay overnight. So
yeah, we call it parking at the dump station or sleeping at the dump station.
And do that once or twice a year, and you're paid for your membership.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. We usually stay at them maybe once every 2 to 3. I don't know. It depends upon if we're boondocking or in motion. Mm-hmm. We probably use it about maybe 10 times a year and get the discount. And it definitely pays off for itself, pays that membership fee off greatly. Another one that is on there, their biggest competitor is Happy Camper.
We've not tried Happy Camper.
We have not tried it. They're $39.95 per year. They have access to 1,200 campgrounds, so 700 less than Passport America. And I don't know how many are crossed.
We just never seem to run across the Happy Camper sign anywhere. Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe they've got particular areas of concentration, but it just never seems to show up for us, where we see Passport America parks a lot.
Right, but it's another option, and it's out there. KOA is a network of Campgrounds of America. of a network of parks. Some of them are franchises, some are owned by the corporation themselves. They sell a card for $27 per year that gives you 10% off at their parks. We find their parks are very expensive. They're usually more in the $35 to $60 per night range. So that 10% savings really still keeps them kind of expensive. But they do seem to be located in some locations, like in big towns and things like that, where you might want to be. Some of them are really nice. Some might be really tightly packed. So the quality varies quite a bit. But if you use the KOA network system, that $27 can pay off.
Probably.
It can pay off pretty good. Harvest Hosts. This is one that I love. It's a paper card that you print off with your membership. But what this does is the Harvest Hosts, they are organized by a couple, Don and Kim Green, who are RVers themselves, and they had been RVing around Europe and loved the concept over there that you could stay at wineries and farms in your RV.
Right.
And they said, well, we need to bring this to America. So what they did is they partnered with or not really partnered with, they call around to a lot of wineries and farms and museums that look like on Google Maps, like they have RV parking, and ask, hey, would you like to host some RVers who might come and buy your products?
And so it's kind of a win-win situation, because a lot of these, particularly rural areas or museums, they have big parking lots, no hookups necessarily, but they're like, wait, sure, yeah, we love to meet cool people. A lot of we've done a few wineries, and we feel almost like welcome, like family, coming into them, and they're like, hey, yo, you get to hang out and come hang out with the staff after we like kick people out of the tasting room, and we'll give you the private tour, and you just get this like VIP treatment and stay for free, but it's never free because
we always buy the wine.
Well, always the wine. Well, so far everywhere we've been, the wine has been so good we end up buying a lot of wine.
Well, yeah, we stock up. I like supporting local business people too.
And
so the membership cost is $44 per year, and that gets you access to their list of wineries and farms and museums where they have partnerships with. And what you have to do is you have to go onto their website and look for sites that might be in the location you're going to. And their interface is getting better, but it's still a little tough.
Awkward to search and find. But
and then you call ahead. They already have information on like how large of a rig they can accommodate, if there's any special considerations. And then you have to call ahead and ask permission to stay there. We've not been turned down yet, but if they have a big event going on,
if there's a wedding, they're not going to invite an RV to park in the parking lot in the middle of a wedding at a winery, you know.
And then the expectation is that you're invited for one night. Most of the locations we've shown up to, they've said, hey, if you want to stay 2 nights or 3, that's fine too. But don't ever expect this to be like a long-term stay sort of thing unless you really connect in with the business. But it's a really cool way to get some unique stops in. And just it's not free parking. The advantage, the winery and farm is not being paid by Harvest Host, and they're not paying to be part of this membership. Their incentive is hopefully bringing in new customers. They won't push the wine on you or anything like that.
You're not required to buy the wine, but you really should be polite and at least go taste it and be social and stuff.
Yeah, this is about the experience of staying at the wineries. It's not the experience of free camping access.
Right.
So, another one is Boondockers Welcome. I don't have a card for that one. We're not currently members of it. But I call this one driveway surfing for our RVers. If you're familiar with couch surfing, this is where RVers and people who have property to stay at, to host RVers can connect. So if you can join for $19.95 per year if you have property that you can host people at. Or it's $24.95 per year if you don't have property that you can host people at. And then you get access. So if you're traveling around, you can go look at the map and ask to driveway surf or courtesy park or mooch dock, or whatever you want to call it, and park with those individuals.
And we know some people who absolutely love Boondockers Welcome and have made lots of great connections both as hosts and as travelers. It just really hasn't quite clicked for us. We tend not to like to go ask for invitations to stay places. We like when people contact us.
Because of the blog and our reach, and you all are here, we tend to get a lot of invitations to stay in, which we'd love. Please keep those invitations coming. If you see us coming your way, we'd love to come and share with our readers, and we'd love to stay and share.
Some of our favorite places ever are driveways that we've been.
We just get enough invitations around, so there's not much incentive for us to join. But it's a great organization to join if you would like the experience of staying with locals. You get kind of a locals perspective on where you're staying, meet new friends, meet new family.
Well, there's the big complicated timeshare kind of camping clubs.
Yeah, so 1,000 Trails, Coast to Coast, RPI, the Lifestyles Equity Group. There's a whole bunch of these organizations out there. They're a network of parks.
Own networks of campgrounds. And
basically, you're buying a membership into the campground organization, and in exchange, you get free stays and or very cheap stays. Right. So 1,000 Trails, kind of their gateway drug pass, as we'll call it, is their zone pass. On the website, you join for $545 per year, and they usually have discounts and stuff like that, so don't pay the price on the website. But you get 30 days of free camping in that zone. So they've got the country broken up into 5 different zones, and they've got a network, I think, of 80 plus campgrounds now. And the zone, so you might have access to 20 or so campgrounds in that zone, and you can stay there for free for 30 nights during the year with a max stay
with full hookups and such.
With full hookups. Sometimes they're electric, I think. But there's a limit of only being able to stay at one location for 14 days at a time, and then you have to be out of the park system for like 7 days before you can go back in. And then they sell you. You can't even find this information on their website. They have these other advanced memberships. They might be called Elite or Platinum or whatever they're marketing it by today. That gets you longer stays, cheaper prices.
They will, once you start talking to a salesperson, they will find some angle like, well, hey, how about if I throw this in or that in or this in? And then you get these really complicated plans and memberships that if you are the type that likes to work the system and game the system and pay attention to the rules, can be an absolutely tremendous value. And we know people who love their 1,000 Trails memberships or their coast to coast or all these timeshares, and we know other people who are like, holy crap, I feel like I got completely hoodwinked and hornswallowed and everything else. And
so we have a lot of people who contact us. They're getting ready to hit the road. They say, oh my gosh, I read that I can stay at this, that if I just camp all the time at 1,000 Trails parks, I can save so much money. Yeah, I'm going to be paying a few $1,000s up front to buy a membership, and then I get all these benefits, all these campgrounds. It's like, first, before you do it, before you buy membership, is go stay in one of the parks.
They'll actually, most of them have like free previews. You'll have to listen to their timeshare pitch, but you can go and stay 3 or 4 days for free to try out a nearby park. And
try a couple of them, and number one, make sure they're the type of parks that you're going to enjoy, and go stay at other kinds of parks before you commit to a membership. If you're just starting out RVing, it's really hard to hone in on what your style of RVing is going to be. So give yourself some time to get out there on the road, try a variety of campgrounds, try boondocking, try state parks, try national parks, try several varieties of commercial RV parks, and make sure that the 1,000 Trails or Coast to Coast or whatever the network is you're looking at is the style of camping you're going to enjoy.
And then talk to other members. Don't let the salespeople sway you. Talk to other members. You might be able to actually get a used plan, in a sense, or a used membership from somebody who wants to get out from underneath it for a lot cheaper. Or you could just get the inside perspective of what are the real pros and cons. And the other members will give it to you honestly. The salespeople are not necessarily going to give you that. And they're going to try and throw you, if you're there for your 3 or 4 days free, they'll try to make sure that they give you enough incentives that you buy now, which is probably never in your best interest. Always wait, think about it, and plan on it.
And then the next thing is really look at where the parks are located. Are they in places you want to be? If your travels are being dictated by visiting friends and family, are there parks going to allow you to do that? Or if you put out all this money, are you going to feel restricted? Not that they restrict you, but because you put all this money out, you feel like, oh, I have to maximize
get my money's worth now.
Are you going to feel swayed to go into these parks, which may not be near the things that you want to go see and do? So really consider those sorts of things. We've always held in our mind that if we happen to be in a zone and in an area where one of the parks makes sense for us, we'll go get a zone pass because it's a great deal. It's 30 days for $500 and sometimes you can get like a 2 zone for 1 pass or something like that. It's not a bad deal. Yeah. It's a really good deal if they're the types of parks in the locations you want to be at. So far, in our 9 years on the road,
we've never felt compelled.
There's 2,000 Trails parks that we've even been in, and they weren't our style, and they weren't locations we wanted to be anyway. Does that mean it's a bad system? No, it just means we're not a fit for it.
And we're also just not a fan of complex and
I like upfront.
Yes.
I like Passport America. $44 a year, you get 50% off at these parks, and here are the conditions.
And everybody's paying the same thing, whereas these other things, everybody's got their own special deal, and it's all kind of feels shady in back rooms sometimes.
So down in the link section, I put in there some links to a blog called RVlove.com. There's some fellow full-time RVers who just hit the road in the last year, and they went through the process of buying a zone pass and then upgrading to an elite membership. And they documented the whole thing and how to do it. So go look at those links or look at their blog. And if you're interested in it and read about it, she did some great documentation.
The best write-up we've seen. It's awesome.
So go look at that if you're interested in it. We have one more section on emergency roadside services. If you have questions that you'd like to ask us about RV park clubs or anything else about RVing, go ahead and start queuing those up in the chat box, and we will get to those right after we finish up this section. So this is your cue to start asking questions. All right, emergency roadside services. As you might have known today, we had a little roadside incident. We had a rock get thrown into our windshield. It shattered our windshield. That we were dealing with that all just before this call. That, however, was not something that we handled through an emergency roadside service because our insurance will handle that, and it wasn't really something that stopped us on the side of the road. But we have used them before. When our engine broke down 2 years ago, saved us probably about a $2,500 tow bill by having CoachNet. So what these plans are is they give you access to tow services. They usually include towing. They might be limits on how many miles or how often you can use it, or you can get their premier plans where it's unlimited. And they also, more importantly, give you access to someone to talk to and orchestrate this thing. When you're stuck on the side of the road and cars and trucks are whizzing by and you're freaked out because your engine just broke down or your tire just blew out or whatever's happened, having someone to call on the phone who knows resources.
Yes, and you'll just save everything. Just one tow pays for the club for years.
So we're members of CoachNet. We pay, I think it's $159 a year. And we have had 2 major breakdowns. One was the engine rebuild, and it was like a 150-mile tow on a flatbed. They got us the right type of, they knew, we're in a vintage bus. They knew vintage buses. And they knew, well, they didn't know them, but they knew enough to know that they took special considerations, and we needed a flatbed, a low boy, and we couldn't just be on a hook. So they got us the right thing out there.
And they're techs on the phone. They'll transfer you to somebody who knows how to ask intelligent questions about your engines and stuff and then they'll go off and do a little homework for you. So we were pretty impressed by CoachNet. Even with something as obscure as our old bus, they were able to really help us out.
Other ones, Good Sam offers one that with their membership. We've heard great things about it. They tend to have some limits on it. We've heard at the same time we were getting towed, we had this $2,500 tow bill that we never even saw. CoachNet just paid it all.
Yep.
Some friends of ours, they needed a tow. I think they broke an axle or something like that, and they just had a 30-mile tow, and they did end up paying some of the tow costs. I'm not sure, something like the plan or whatever. But it's, you go look at the benefits and see what's right for you on that.
And see what other people's experiences are, because these clubs are always changing how good their customer service is.
But what I like about CoachNet, Good Sam, and FMCA offers ones as well is they are specific to RVs. That is their market. They do have plans that can include your tow vehicle if you have one. So you also have coverage like you would with, so if you're out driving around in your truck or your tow behind vehicle and you have problems, it is also covered if you on certain plans. So they're specific to RVs. So when you call them, they know about the challenges of RVing. With AAA, they do have an RV plan as well that you can add on. It brings the cost up to about $180 a year. The problem with AAA is that they are very regionally specific. And in some areas of the country, they don't have RV service or they're not as dedicated to it. We have known people that got to those areas, had a problem. They call in, they get redirected to the regional dispatch. And they're like, oh, we don't do RVs.
Okay.
Well, I have an RV plan. Well, I'm sorry, we don't. You bought an RV plan in Florida. You're in this state. We don't do that.
Right.
And they're not specific for RVs. I mean, they are made for cars, for automobiles, and the RV is an add-on. So when you call in, they're not specifically knowing about RVs. So we did carry AAA for a while. We did drop it. We do keep just CoachNet, and our bus owners.
Our insurance policy
also has coverage for emergency roadside assistance if CoachNet should let us down.
Okay, so now I think
Okay. All right. That wraps up RV clubs. That's everything we had prepared. We're going to start with the Q&A now.
And a sip of wine first.
And a sip of wine. And
today's wine is 14 Hands.
I don't think it was on the arsenic list that just came out.
There we go.
If you would like to say thanks, we do love contributions to our wine fund. You can do the leave a tip on the blog, at the bottom of the blog page, and buy us a bottle of wine.
Okay, so I'm going to scroll back a few minutes and start taking some questions here. Let's see. Okay, is anybody a fan of Thousand Trails? Okay, here's first question. How often do you find yourself using these RV clubs discounts? Half the time or less?
So how often do we find ourselves using the RV club discounts? We do a lot of boondocking. There's no discounts on boondocking. So we don't use them there. So it's really hard to say. It goes
like the Passport America, we go out of our way to find a Passport America park if we need a one-night stop just to dump the tanks, because if we want full hookups, getting it for $15 doesn't feel bad. Paying $30 for one night just doesn't feel right. So,
all right, and one we forgot about is state park passes. We love state parks. So, like, we just got into Texas. We now have our state park pass. This saves us $4 to $6 per person per night in Texas when we're staying at the state parks. Plus, it gives us like 4 nights at half price. So it's $70 to buy, but it saves us a lot of money because so when we're in Texas, we're going to be optimizing on the state parks, so it's worthwhile for us. Otherwise, state parks in Texas can be pretty pricey when you add in the per person charge. But each state is different in how the state parks are run.
Okay, we got a question from Wayne asking, can you sign up for these roadside assistance clubs from the side of the road?
Okay, so some of them, they usually have... so can you sign up for a roadside assistance from the side of the road?
After you break down.
So no, the time to break up, to sign up is not when you're broken down. A lot of them have like a 36-hour or 72-hour, from the time you sign up, you can't activate services. So you want to buy them in advance.
But we have plenty of stories of people who have been in the tough situation and
been able to talk
their way through it.
But don't count on it. Yes. I mean, if you really have an emergency roadside service, just know what you're going to do in a case of emergencies can happen at any time, and they can be very costly. Towing a motorhome is very expensive. It's probably a minimum of $500.
Yes, yeah, you definitely don't want to pay your own tow bills. A question from some random address here. What do you know about American Campground membership sales, also known as camp resorts? They seem to sell Thousand Trails, Encore, and other memberships at a discount.
I don't know anything about them. As we said, we're not Thousand Trail members ourselves. We're not members, so we haven't
drawn to that.
We're not looked too deeply into them. Definitely do your research on them. There are organizations out there that resell the memberships. Know what you're getting into. Google, talk to other bloggers, talk to people who've used them before signing up with any of those. We're not experts in the Thousand Trails stuff by any stretch of the means.
Because it is so complex.
It is complex, and like I said, we don't like RV parks in general, so we don't tend to stay in them very often.
Okay, let's see. Does CoachNet at $159 cover your towed vehicle?
Yes, so the CoachNet, their Premier, Platinum, whatever their highest one is, it does cover your family members, and it covers any other vehicles you own. So yes, it would cover your tow vehicle or towed.
Okay. Question from Larry Harmon. Are the member benefits the same for Escapees and Xscapers?
So the member benefits between Escapees and Xscapers, so they are... It's the same membership, club. The same club. You pay the same $29.95 per year to join the club, and you can choose if you want to be an Xscaper or an Escapee, or both. So you get dual membership. So the memberships, the benefits are all the same. The difference is it's kind of like a second door into the club.
Yeah.
And the new benefits, they're not really benefits. It's more of a content shift.
It's more focus, yeah.
So instead of getting articles and resources on Medicare and Social Security, you're going to get more information on working on the road, homeschooling, raising kids on the road, being active, healthcare, navigating the ACA, and Xscapers is making some partnerships for job boards and other things like that. So it's just bringing in more resources for the working aged RVer.
Okay. There's a question. Are there special discount passes for veterans?
Special discount passes for veterans.
There's the fam camps.
I mean, if you're a veteran, I think you can use the military bases, the fam cams. And then, you know, if you qualify for a national park pass with the Eagle Pass.
If you're, well, yeah. And anyone who is
I think
eligible,
that's disabled veteran only.
Yeah.
We're not veterans ourselves, so we haven't looked into it. I don't know of any specific commercial club, and that's what we're focusing on, is more the commercial clubs that caters just to veterans. So I don't know.
The National Park Pass, the Access Pass, if you're old enough to get that, is an incredibly good deal.
VFW might have one that you can stay at their places. I don't know.
Okay. Let's see. Do you find, an unrelated question from Kate Bardis, do you find more often than not that there are restrictions on dog breeds at parks?
We have a cat, so I don't really pay attention to dog breed restrictions. It's not something that is applicable to us.
And also, the places we tend to go, like state parks and stuff, they tend not to have those. And
like I said, we do a lot of boondocking. We do a lot of public parks. We prefer places because we have a vintage bus. We also come into the 10-year rule at a lot of parks, not a lot of parks, but some. So we don't like RV parks. We don't like having neighbors right next to us. Like right now, we have this great view of a gorgeous sunset going on out there
over a dry lake,
over a huge plain. That's what we like. So. I have heard of RV parks that have breed restrictions. A lot of it's for insurance reasons, and yes, they are out there. And if you have
call ahead, I guess.
If you have a dog that would be restricted, definitely research and research it before you get to the campground.
Gabrielle is asking, where do you get those state park passes?
Oh, so
the state park.
Yes. So where do you get your state park passes? In Texas, the first state park you go to check into, you can just buy it right at the counter. You can also buy it online in advance if you know you're going in. We just came to our first one. We went to Monaghan Sandhills State Park just 2 days ago. It was our first state park in Texas. We just picked it up there and we checked in. And now
it was actually 2 transactions. So you buy your state park pass as one credit card transaction, and then you use your state park pass and check into the campground and get the discounts.
The other parks, states, Georgia has one, and Michigan I know has one, and both of those we just bought at the campground itself.
At the very first state park in that state. Yep. Somebody is concerned about finding glass for Zephyr. What are they telling you?
Oh, so with
Zephyr is actually, it's not too hard to find windshield glass.
So the question was about our windshield crack that we had with the rock that got thrown into it earlier today. Because it is a 1961 vintage bus, there was some concern over if it would be replaceable. And one of the first things I remember when we were looking at 4106s was, the windshield is really easy to replace if you ever need to. That just clicked in my mind today. The reason is because all of the GMs from the 60s, so the 4104 to the 4705, all use the same windshield. And because they were so prevalent and in service, when Prevost started making buses in the 70s, when they rolled out the Mirage line and the XL line and the 96-inch, they used the same glass. They used the same glass for their side windows because it was so prevalent. So the glass is well stocked and relatively well stocked. And our insurance company, when we called them today, they put us right in touch with their RV glass vendor that they use, and they said, we have it in stock, we can have it in 3 to 5 days to use, so it's not going to be an issue at all.
Okay. Let's see. Discounts for veterans.
Keep those questions coming.
Yep, let's see. Lots of nice thanks and stuff here. Somebody's talking about they love overnightrvparking.com to be very worthwhile for $20 a year.
Yeah, so the mention was the overnightrvparking.com, which gives
we are members of.
Which we are members of, and that gives you their database to overnight parking options. The reason we didn't include them is it's not a membership club. You don't get a card, and you don't need to show a card to check into the park. Right. That's the only reason they weren't included.
But you do pay for that membership to have access to a really great database of resources.
Yep, but you can also use Allstays app and freecampsites.net and some other resources. Campendium is now tracking them, so there's other resources for having access to the free campgrounds.
Homer Simpson asks, when using a discount card, do they have specific sites that you have to use, or can you typically choose any site in the campground?
So if there's any site restrictions when you use a discount camping club like the Passport America, we found that varies by the park itself. and the membership. So there's like one park we checked into, I think it was in Las Vegas, with Passport America.
They had like 5 Passport America sites.
They had a specific set of sites that were set aside for Passport America discounts, and we got to stay there for like $35 a night in downtown Las Vegas, which was great. And then when we went to extend, they like had like a 2-night or 3-night rule. They're like, okay, no, we can't give you the Passport America rate for the new rates for the new night. So we paid full price. And they said, oh, and you have to move spots because you have to get out of those spots. That was a rare case. Most cases, they just...
Yeah. It's I guess, the certain parks, just for their own bookkeeping, keeps things limited like that, but it's been very rare.
Yeah.
Let's see. Does CoachNet limit services if boondocking or in remote areas?
Okay,
remote areas.
Does CoachNet or any of the emergency roadside services limit services if you're in a remote area? And yes, they will only service you if you're on a named road. I think you have to be within, I think it's 100 feet or 100 yards of a named road. So if you're doing a lot of boondocking, definitely keep that in mind. It could cause you problems. You may have to pay to be winched out or whatever to get out of a spot that is...
and a lot of that will come down to also just how flexible whoever the local tow contractor ends up being. So if they're cool and into you and into the project, we've heard of people who the tow guys will pretend that they were on the road and submitted like that, and they had no problem getting them out of a boondocking spot. And we've heard of other places where people have been completely stymied, even just being like 150 feet. Oh, sorry, you're out of range. You're gonna have to pay me extra before I'll get you.
But that doesn't mean that the road has to be paved. It just has to be named and maintained. Mm-hmm. So when we're looking for boondocking locations, that is something we keep in mind, is if the road that we're parking off of is a named and maintained road. And a lot of BLM roads, they have names and numbers on them, and usually that's good enough.
So Lisa asks, are there any benefits for being an AARP member?
Well, we're too young to be AARP.
I think there's a lot of benefits, but I don't know them specifically.
There might be some campgrounds that offer AARP discounts.
And there are actually campgrounds that offer just AAA discounts too. So
yes. So they might be out there. I would look at the membership listing for your AARP membership. We have a few years before we have to research that ourselves. So.
Genevieve points out that KOA gives discounts to military.
Okay.
That's a good one. Are there any parks with non-smoking sections?
Parks? Oh, I would love that.
That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, that would be awesome. I haven't found a non-smoking section park, and that is an annoyance when we are in RV parks, because you can have someone out on their back porch, which is like
our front porch,
which is your front porch, or you're sharing space and they're smoking underneath our window, and we're really sensitive to it.
It's not usually too much of an issue, but it's But yeah, actually, it'd be kind of cool in some of the tighter closed-in parks.
More importantly, I would love to have night owl areas and morning people out areas, because it never fails that we're sleeping in because we're up late, and you got someone having coffee meeting or something right outside our window.
Somebody, Ann Ossinger points out, what about elk lodges? Actually, that is an interesting membership to have.
Yeah, the elk lodges, so you can join the elks, and then
also the moose and a few other clubs like this
and others like that. These are for
national fraternal organizations.
Yeah, and you join them, and then they usually have RV parking, if not semi-RV parks at their locations that you have access to.
And there's actually quite a few RVers who join the Elks, and the Elks apparently welcome RVers to join, even if they're not going to be locally active in a chapter, just to get access to the Elks lodges around the country, because sometimes the most central to a downtown place you can possibly stay in an RV actually ends up being an Elks lodge, because they own property often downtown in some major cities and major towns, and whether it's just outdoor driveway surfing or parking lot surfing, or they might have hookups right there, downtown. Yep,
that is definitely an option. I did not include because it's not a major club.
But yes.
Not an RV club specifically.
Yep. I have a casita. When you had your travel trailer, did you use CoachNet or Good Sam? What would be the recommendation for a travel trailer?
So when we had our travel trailer, we actually used AAA. We kept our AAA for that because you're insured. The vehicle being insured was an automobile, a truck, Jeep, SUV, whatever you're pulling with. So we used AAA for that when we had the travel trailer. And we just added on the RV rider on it so that there would be coverage if we needed to have the trailer towed somewhere without having our own tow vehicle.
Hey, Reynold asks, does CoachNet cover you in Canada?
Does CoachNet cover you in Canada? You would need to go look at them specifically, as we've not yet traveled in Canada. I've not specifically looked into that.
Yeah,
good
question.
I did look yesterday briefly at their FAQs if you're covered in Canada and Mexico, and I think I saw it was a yes. But I don't have that information specifically at my fingertips, but I think so.
Wayne asks, are you streaming your live stream over cell signal? Yes, we are going over AT&T right now.
Yes, we are using our AT&T unlimited iPad plan. This was one of the rare plans that was offered when the iPad first came out 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Holy wow. And if you signed up for their unlimited data plan in those first like 6 weeks they offered it, you got to keep it as long as you kept paying for it. So that's how we're able to do these live streams is over. And
we have an incredible AT&T connection here. It's 19 megabits per second down, 18 up, which is awesome. And this is actually one of the places where AT&T is running circles around Verizon. I did a speed test on Verizon and was getting just like 4 megabits down and 2 up. So, people always say, "Oh, Verizon's so much better." It's like, often it's the case. Some places not
AT&T is right on their behinds right now.
Okay. If you guys are willing to share about how much do you guys spend on camping per year, combining boondocking and the occasional nightly hookups you do at campgrounds?
Okay, so what do we spend on camping per year? We actually share this and have shared it since 2009. If you go to technomadia.com/costlog, you will see all of our monthly campground expenses. So last year, I believe the average was like $353 per month with the way we combine things up. And that's with doing a couple month-long stays throughout the year, which are the cheaper stays if you're doing a commercial RV park, state parks, some boondocking, and some volunteer work. This year so far, I think we're up to a cumulative for 2015 of under $400 because we've done so much boondocking. So
and we haven't racked up
we tend to, in the last 3 years, have been averaging under $400 a month, and that's without being a major member of like 1,000 Trails or anything like that. So we think it's pretty great because we get to choose where we want to be. Some months we might pay $600 or $700 a month to be in the middle of a city, but we make it up and average it out by other options.
Okay, Larry Harmon asks, Betty and I are planning a Trans-Canada trip this summer. Your suggestion for a membership or discount card? Hey, Larry.
Trans-Canada, we have not RV'd in Canada, so I have no recommendations.
I saw there is a camping club that is, I think, kind of equivalent to Good Sam up in Canada, and I don't even remember the name. I saw when I was doing some research for this. But let us know what you find out, because that might be on our future travels.
Yeah, we have not yet done Canada. We're concerned about number one, cellular connectivity up there, and Wi-Fi and internet, and also work visas. So we've Canada and also pet and having to have a brake controller.
And then Beth replied to him with Paragon is what she uses for international in Canada. So look into Paragon.
All right. Any other questions?
And off topic to us, have you traveled to Alaska or do you plan to in the future? That's from Jamming Along.
Have we traveled to Alaska? No, we have not. Well, I mean, I've traveled to Alaska by cruise. You've passed through that.
I landed in an airport, never got off the airplane.
We have not.
Alaska is on our to-do list.
We have not RV'd to Alaska. It is something we're interested in doing. It's that big drive in between that kind of like, that's a lot of time. We've considered doing it this summer. We have a lot of friends that are going. Look at Gone with the Winds and Snowmads and Illuminarium. And Malimish. There's a whole bunch of them going up this summer. They're sharing a lot of tips and tricks on it. We consider going up with them.
We might have other interesting ways to do Alaska too.
We'd
like to do things differently.
We're formulating some interesting plans this summer that we're not quite yet ready to reveal yet. Yes. So stay tuned.
Let's see. Any emergency roadside recommendations for fifth wheels?
Emergency roadside recommendations for fifth wheels. Don't break down. But yeah, have a roadside assistance.
Make sure to just whatever you have. Like AAA has the extension for trailers, or get something that specializes in RVs.
Yeah. CoachNet does cover RVs. I think all of FMCA's isn't going to, but Good Sam, CoachNet, or AAA should all have options for you. Research them, compare the options and prices, and find which is best for you.
And so we're getting more and more unrelated questions, and I guess that's probably fine.
That's
now.
fine.
So the questions can be off topic, on topic. We'll just keep taking questions for a little while. So Katie Bardis asks, how important is having insulation with changing weather? Is a 4-season RV necessary? Depends where you're going to go.
So is a 4-season RV necessary in insulation? It really depends upon the type of camping you want. If you're going to do deep winter camping where it's getting down into the negative digits, you're going to want to have...
You want to have heated tanks. We have friends who had an RV with basically the only insulation over their tanks was literally cardboard. And so their tanks froze and they suffered a lot of damage at 30 degrees. Most RVs have at least the tanks in some sort of interior chamber where they can handle some more fluctuations than that. And then you get to real 4-season RVs where everything is insulated, including the tanks, and there's actually heating in the bays. So it depends where you're going to be, how much time you're going to spend below freezing. More insulation is always
and heat,
good.
And how much heat. Our bus has about that much insulation in the walls, which is
very well insulated.
It's very well insulated. We've been down into the 20s comfortably, and we've been in 127 degrees is our high. I'm not saying it's comfortable and fun and like I want to go repeat it, but we're able to survive it.
Yep. Somebody says, I heard that nomads should have 2 official IDs, so having a passport is essential.
Nomads should have 2 official IDs.
It's no different than any other person.
I mean, it doesn't matter if you're nomadic or not. You should have a backup ID.
Yes.
I mean, your purse can be stolen or your wallet can be stolen in any situation. It's always good to have a backup ID.
The Passport America website shows campgrounds in Canada. Awesome. I guess they do have a few Canada ones.
Okay.
Do you have any RVers specific to West Coast only?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Is that RV Club specific to the West Coast? I don't actually know.
I mean, Thousand Trails has 2 zones on the West Coast, but most of the RV clubs are nationwide.
Yeah. So I think we have caught up on all the questions. So unless there's any last minute questions that come our way, which I guess since there's about a 2-minute tape delay, that probably won't even hear me say this. I think thank you guys all for joining us, and
yes. So toasting to you. I'm really, really surprised. Of over 160 people joined.
Yeah. Is that a new record?
That might be a new record.
Wow.
So we really appreciate you joining us for this chat. We hope it was informative and entertaining. Certainly been a long day for us. So we apologize for that.
And if you have any suggestions on how to make better lighting or audio quality or microphones,
keep it to
don't
yourself.
Tell us, please. This is just quick, simple, and informal.
Yes.
We're having fun with this. We're not trying to do fancy video production, but we're doing it quick and easy and having a blast. So
yes.
Here's to you guys.
Here's to you. As always, Xscapers will be announced really soon. I mean, it's already been announced. Yeah. It goes live on April 1. If you're a younger, working-aged RVer.
It's a great reason to join the Escapees there. Yeah.
Come join us with that. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. Oh, gosh, I don't even know. We've been so busy the last few months. I have so many things to announce. But, if you've enjoyed...
And just if you happen to be in Austin, we're in a documentary on.
Yeah, but it's sold out.
It's sold out. Oh, you can't see us on the big screen. Too late.
Yes, so it's already sold out for the documentary that we're going to in Austin. Stay tuned. We'll have our travelogue out soon. If you enjoy these chats, we do have a leave a tip button on the blog. We do appreciate contributions to the wine. It's getting empty.
And we just love comments and positive comments.
Yes, we love the feedback. We do this for the feedback, the interaction with you. If you've enjoyed these, reach out. That's why we do it. We really appreciate it. Thank you. We'll see you next month.